on our YouTube page, YouTube channel, Facebook page, and everywhere on our social media platform. So today we are joined by Nivina Arsik, who holds a master's degree in international relations from London School of Economics and Political Science, and a Chevening scholarship winner at the UK, offered by Foreign and Commonwealth Office. Nivina's research has been mostly focused on foreign policy analysis, diplomacy, economy, and trade. And her current professional focus is entrepreneurship in emerging economies, consultancy, and sustainable development. Welcome, Nivina.
Thank you.
Today's topic is soft power and public diplomacy in the Arab world, one of the very important topics. And Nivina will be giving us an insight on this topic today. Among the Horus Apollo summer program, where we host specialized workshops in different international relations topics by our distinguished scholars. And we invite young scholars from Europe and from North Africa to attend our free workshops broadcasted on our social media platforms and website. Thank you, Nivina. You can start whenever you can. Now you're the host. Please start sharing your presentation whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you so much, Sarah. So welcome everyone. Today I'm going to be talking, as Sarah mentioned, about soft power and public diplomacy in the Arab world. I guess that's very actual topic now. And I will be sharing main insights. So for the beginning, I will start just with a basic definition, so you have a clue what the soft power is and how it's defined. Let me just share my screen with you first. Okay. So here we are. Okay, so soft power is a term that is coined by Joseph Nye, and it's let's say invented. It's coined in 1980s, and as you can see here, the basic definition is that that's ability to affect others, to obtain the outcome one wants through attraction, rather than coercion or payment. So you know that coercion is the thing when you use your force, and that's defined as a hard power. For example, when you use your military or weapon, that's a hard power. Or payment, when you use certain economic power that you have to convince someone to make something you want them do, right? And soft power is actually when you have that outcome, when you convince people to do something you want them to do without having to give them money or force them by force. So basically that's the soft power. And as you can see here, you also have what's the public diplomacy, and that's not the same. Usually people use these terms and give them the same meaning, but that's actually not. Public diplomacy is some sort of let's say a tool of the soft power, because you have a power, you have a certain material, and then you have a strategy. So I would say public diplomacy is rather a tool, a strategy that governments use to promote their soft power. As you can see, you can read the whole definition. So it has a long history as a means of promoting countries' soft power, and was essential in being called war, because it was actually used in this area, in this actually period of history when these two powers, Soviet Union and the US, try to promote themselves. I would also like you to watch a video now, like a very short one, so you can see what actually, so you can have a better understanding of the concept. So I'm going to be sharing now with you a short video, just a moment. Okay.
If it opens in another tab, I think you'll have to share the screen again with us. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Let me see. Okay, here it is. Do you see it now? I think yes.
International relations. So if you like to learn about the concept of soft power or to refresh it, you are very welcome. Author starts by mentioning Niccolo Machiavelli, who once said that for politicians it was more important to be feared than to be loved. But in today's world, it is best to be both. Winning hearts and minds has always been important, but it is even more so in a global information age. Modern information technology is spreading information more widely than ever before in history. Yet, political leaders have spent little time thinking about how the nature of power has changed, and more specifically, about how to incorporate the soft dimensions into their strategies for wielding power. Nye gives two definitions of power. First one is more broad. Power means the ability to get the outcomes one wants. And the second one is more detailed. Power is the ability to influence the behavior of the others to get the outcomes one wants. Originally, power used to be built on military and economy. This is hard power. But sometimes you can get the outcomes you want without threats or payoffs. The indirect way to get what you want has sometimes been called the second phase of power, and this is soft power. The soft power of the country rests primarily on three resources: its culture, its political values, and its foreign policies. Soft power is not a constant, but something that will rise by time and place. Nye also mentioned smart power, which he defines as a combination of hard and soft power. The United States has many resources that can potentially provide soft power. Economic progress of US contributes not only to wealth, but also to reputation and attractiveness. America is the world's largest economy. Nearly half of the top 500 global companies are American. The country attracts more foreign immigrants than anyone. USA is the far and away the world's #1 exporter of films and television programs. Also publishes more books than any other country. Ranks first in Nobel Prizes for physics, chemistry, and economics. Publishes nearly 4 times as many scientific and journal articles as the next runner-up, Japan, and etc. Nye also points out a very interesting thing. He thinks that the much of American soft power has been produced by Hollywood, Harvard, Microsoft, and Michael Jordan.
That's an effort by Jordan, who has it on the break, driving all the way in. Oh, stop! An unbelievable goal! He put it in and it counts! Can you believe that? To watch him drive to the hoop, the hang time, he gets fouled.
He believes that the attractiveness of US pop culture was one of the most important factors of the victory in the Cold War. Of course, the United States does not rank at the top in all measures of potential attraction. According to the 2003 United Nations Development Programme's Quality of Life Index, which takes into account not only income but also education, healthcare, and life expectancy, Norway, Iceland, Sweden, Australia, the Netherlands, and Belgium rank ahead of the United States.
Okay, so this is the basic things I wanted to show you. So as you could see here, the basic elements of the soft power, and it's actually a fight for the soft power is always like fight for winning someone's heart. You probably all the time watch Hollywood movies. I guess that you want to go and study on the best universities, and we know where they are. They are mostly based in the US. You probably went to the American University in Cairo, which is probably one of the best universities in the world, in Egypt now. So these are all the elements of the US soft power. So that's how they use it, that's how they promote them, their interests and their values, and that's how they actually make people like them and accept them. So let's continue with the presentation. Let me just share the screen now with you again. Okay.
We'll be providing
in our
all
own
those videos as well on the website and on our social media platforms, because this is really, really very interesting. Thank you, Navina.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I'm glad that you do like it. Because we're also talking about public diplomacy here, as I mentioned before, public diplomacy is not the same as the soft power, and it's a communicational effort that makes the use of the soft power by providing information or certain examples of the nation's soft power. And it's regarded by the foreign audience as positive. For example, when you have a US embassy in Cairo, and when they have certain events in that year, certain conferences, certain topic they speak about, this is actually public diplomacy, and it's organized, and it's they have a certain strategy that they use. So this is example of the soft power, but it relies. This is example of public diplomacy, pardon, but it relies on the soft power. So let's go. Now, you probably saw in the video what are the main dimensions of the soft power, and that's always daily communication. And by that, they mean explaining the context of domestic diplomacy, what's going on, for example, in your country, and you want to explain it to foreigners. So the government has a clear stand on what's going on, and they have their opinion. And we're going to be doing later some practice, so you can see how important it is for the government to speak up and to say where they stand, because sometimes certain actions of your private citizens can be understood as an action of the whole country. So that's why it's very important to go and to speak about domestic politics on a daily basis. I mentioned strategic communication, and that means developing certain themes, certain conferences, certain events on certain policy, for example, humanitarian issues, or human rights, and you're going to be organizing certain events in another country around this topic. This is strategic communication and development of the lasting relations, because soft power is not the same as propaganda, and you cannot lie people for a long period of time. So if you really want to influence someone, if you really want to make them do the things you want them to do, you have to have loyal relations with these people. So that's why developing lasting relationships are very important, because you have to be a friend with certain country if you want to make them do what you want them to do. And by that, you can, for example, have ambassadors building relations with main political figures. You might have like certain ambassadors building just, like with institutions, with non-governmental sector. It depends, what's your target and how you approach people. So soft power, we said the main dimensions, but now we are talking about resources. So soft power rests on three main resources, and that's the culture, the political values, and foreign policies. But again, this is just a broad definition, and this is how Joseph Nye defines it. Later, you're going to see soft power is the concept now each country is using, and they define it differently. We will have some case studies, and I will show you what other elements they incorporate as well. But these are the main three. So the culture, you saw, like, for example, Hollywood movies. Everyone knows about them, and you always watch Hollywood movies. Rarely you go for Chinese, Japanese movie, or even European.
Let me add something, Nivina, please, as you spoke of Hollywood movies. Yes. I would like to refer to an American law, actually. There is an act that says or that's obligatory for anyone who shoots a movie on US soil to have the US flag up to a total amount of time of 2 minutes in any movie produced on US soil. And that's part, we studied that in propaganda studies, actually. It's part of expanding the US influence and the US soft power through Hollywood production. And that's, there is actually, I will look up that act number for you, but actually there is an act that, or a law, by law, any movie produced on US soil has to show the flag to a maximum amount of time of 2 minutes on every movie. So
yeah, that makes
that's very
completely
influential. Yeah,
yeah. So it's so influential because this is how you approach people, and it's not always you're not aware of that, but that's how you accept their values, and you want to be having like a lifestyle, a Hollywood lifestyle, the way American live.
exactly.
So we all have this already incorporated, and yeah, that's also very important. So that's why they're showing their flag. Um, you mentioned national interest and how they use these movies that are part of their culture to promote their national interest. And now it's a question like, when you use soft power, do you promote certain values or you only promote interest? But let's speak
Values
about that.
is a very important term in this case. Values, yes,
Yes.
sure.
But yeah, let's speak about that like in a few minutes, because I just want to now go through these main three resources. So we
Great.
already spoke about culture. The second one is political values. So what you promote, what values you have in your political system, domestic political system, and what values you want to promote abroad. So if you're promoting democracy, if you have liberalism, some certain like values, human rights, because you have them in your own system, you want to promote them abroad. And if they are widely accepted, so you're bigger soft power, and you can use this to promote yourself as well. And we know that America and Western countries are the main actors in promoting democracy, liberalism, and human rights and everything related to it. The third thing is foreign policy. And especially when your foreign policy is seen as legitimate and has a moral authority, which means that you really have to do something good that is accepted. But like if your foreign policy is not accepted by foreigners, for other countries, then you're going to be in trouble. It doesn't matter how your cultural or political values are widespread and accepted. If your foreign policy is not, then the country is, then your soft power is jeopardized, basically. So yes, we already spoke about this. So in terms of foreign policy, it's always related to your domestic policy. And when you have a government and political leaders, it's very important how they behave at home and how attractive their behavior appears to foreigners. For example, you have Donald Trump that wasn't popular at all because of the certain policies that he used to adopt, not only in foreign policy, but also in the domestic one. We mentioned values and interests when talking about soft power and foreign policy. So the question now is, when you use soft power as as a tool, do you only want to promote your national interest, or you have a certain values, like we mentioned democracy or certain liberal values that drives you to make certain decisions in foreign policy? And now you have, like, of course, different opinions on that. But if your soft power is really widely accepted, it always has to have certain values incorporated instead of that. And values and interests, they don't have to be mutually exclusive, because maybe in your national interest is to promote certain like liberal or democratic values. So it's always up to from case to case. And yeah, this is very broad topic and question, and you can discuss it later or research later on that. Joseph Nye also has an article on this, so if you're interested, you can also read about that. I put a quote here, but even the best advertising cannot sell an unpopular product. And this was related with the Bush policy, foreign policy in the Middle East. Because I will be doing a case study on US later, and you will see why you cannot sell, you cannot advertise, you can have the best advertising, but still you cannot sell the product because everyone knows what you're doing and what you're selling actually. Okay. And again, a quote related to this: public diplomacy that degenerates into propaganda not only fails to convince, but can undercut soft power. The thing that I mentioned before, propaganda and soft power are not the same, and you cannot lie people for a long period of time. So if you want to really have an legitimate soft power, you have to be also honest in that you cannot use it only as a propaganda to fulfill your interests, but you really need to have like a sophisticated strategy of the soft power. I spoke about 3 resources: the foreign policy, the political values, and the culture. So if foreign policy is something that is not aligned with your culture and political values that you promote, that you're in trouble. You won't be accepted, and people would see you as a liar probably, or as a bad player in international relations. And again, good public diplomacy should not merely be a propaganda, but rather a strategy focused on the long-term relations that would secure support and acceptance of government policies on the long term. And it's always a two-way street that involves listening as well as talking. So when you are promoting in some other country your power and your values, you also need people to listen to you and to accept you. And it's always like a mutual. If you want to understand better what's going on in the minds of the others, and what values they share, you gotta know them. So that's why we have, for example, I don't know, ambassadors in the Middle East going and talking to people, engaging with people, so they can know you, your culture, your way of thinking, and what's important to you. And based on that data, they're gonna develop later their strategy and their approach. These are the cases that I would be going through. UAE as Middle Eastern soft power that is very, very highly ranked now in the world. And I want you later to do by yourself a case study, and that's going to be on Hezbollah. And we will see how a non-state actor can also have an influence, and especially use certain tools and elements of the soft power and influence people. So regarding the Hezbollah, I would give you a paper and give you 10 minutes to read it, and then we're going to have a quiz, and I'll be asking questions from that paper. So yeah, let's start with the USA and their strategy and soft power in the Middle East. Okay, this is Global Soft Power Index, and there you can see it's made by Brand Finance, and they have this global index every single year. You can see that the Germany is first, Japan second, UK third, and the USA is in the 6th place. Everyone would assume that USA is still a great power, but again, they are not first on the list. They started declining, and everyone is now talking how their soft power is in decline actually, and in particular because of their foreign policy and the things that they are doing abroad, and also some domestic issues that they have. And especially it dropped with Trump administration and their decisions and moves. These are some pillars this index uses. For example, they test people and values. They include education and science, media and communication, culture and heritage, international relations, business and trade, and the governance. So these are sort of like measurements and criteria they use to build this index. Okay. So regarding the soft power in the Middle East, the USA soft power, it's been present since the Second World War. But again, it started actually being more present. They started developing a certain serious strategy after the 9/11, because you know very well how the USA was perceived in your region. And because of their war on terror, because of the invasion of Iraq, because of prison abuse that was widespread on the internet, because of the use of torture, and in particular because of the support of Israeli policies toward Palestinians. And we know that USA was perceived very bad. The Bush wanted to change that, and he developed a certain strategy. But again, we know very well what his foreign policy was, and it was very aggressive, and he used all the time the hard power. So that's why people didn't like him much. And when I quoted, like, even the best advertisement cannot sell a bad product, this is what I meant actually. And this is what these quotes mean. If you're trying to promote your soft power and you have a certain, like, the best strategies, again, if you are bombarding these people and if you're using force to make them do something you want to do, it doesn't help. The best strategy cannot help. So everyone is talking that actually these policies, foreign policies of the Bush administration, damage the country's reputation as a model of liberal diplomacy, not only because of the things they did in Iraq, but also because of the prison abuse. So it's not aligned with their political values, with the secondary source we mentioned. So if you're promoting democracy and human rights and you're abusing people that are in prison in this way, so you're a hypocrite. And that's why people do not accept your values and your words and actions anymore. And then US decided to launch a campaign for soft power, and especially in the Middle East. And you probably know better than me, you probably heard of it. It was a shared values campaign, and that was actually targeting Muslims in the US. And it was showing how they live very well in the US, and they are respected, they have the same rights as the other Americans, and they have a very nice life. But it wasn't Muslims in the US, they were not the problem. The problem was what they are doing in the Muslim world abroad. And that's why they decided, for example, I mentioned daily communication and how important it is to speak about that. So they decided to use this digital technology and launch their own Radio Sava, you probably remember, and Al Hura television, where they try to present their point of view. But again, no one listened to them in the Arab world because they know this is sort of like misleading information, and that's not true what they're speaking. They also had a high magazine in the MENA region, but all of these attempts, they failed because they didn't have audience. People didn't want to use them, and they made fun of them all the time. You maybe know better than me some jokes about this. Television and
Yes.
magazine and radio.
We remember, yes.
So yeah. Let's go now to the next slide. Beside this index, there is another soft power index 30 report that is also saying that American power, soft power in particular, is in decline. But again, their strengths, as you saw in the video, are three things: the culture, the education, and the digital technology. The culture we mentioned, like pop culture.
Allow me to add an input, Nivina, please. It's
Yes.
not that it's decreasing or anything. The thing is that world soft power as well as hard power are being shared now with China. We've witnessed China as well. I would like to give that example, trying to promote its pop culture. We have seen it with fashion street walks, music, some social media applications. So it's just that the US soft power is not decreasing, it's being shared, and another culture, another kind of soft power is being promoted as well. And in this case, it's China. How do you see that?
Yeah, I completely agree. And we're going to post another video if you want. It's a short video about Chinese strategy in the Middle East, how they are spreading their soft power. And they're using this economic gap, to build a good relations, for example, with Saudi, and investing a lot of money in order to build some certain economic relations so they can later spread their soft power as well. So yeah, totally.
Great. If you can show us as well a video of the last fashion street in China and how China has started to promote its pop culture. It's very important as well. It's very important because that's new for China, and even the strategy on how it's promoting it, in my own opinion, it's fierce and it's really competitive to the US one. It's very competitive. It's presenting the Chinese in a way that we haven't witnessed before. Yes, please proceed.
Yes, they have, I think, one of the largest budget in the world for the soft power strategy. I don't have the numbers now, and I don't have the video, but of course we can share that on the website. If someone is interested in that, definitely we can put it on.
Yeah, we can add that into the report later on and share it with everyone else.
It's interesting when you are comparing US soft power and Chinese, that usually people are saying, okay, but maybe even if China becomes like more powerful than the US in terms of like military and economy, again, the soft power would be like challenging point, because Chinese language is not that easy to learn. Their movies and their values and their culture is not that widely accepted.
It's very
as the
enclosed
US
on
one.
Itself. Yes, it's very enclosed on itself.
But you never know what you can make. So Chinese language is becoming more and more popular. People are visiting more country. Exactly. Like tourism is also much more
we would like now to take an insight on the Chinese strategy in the Middle East. You have that later on in your presentation, right?
I don't have it, but we can put it on the website later. So
okay, we would like to have an insight on the strategy of China in the Middle East using soft power. That's a very important topic for scholars of the region of our interest. Yes, please proceed, Nabina.
Yeah. Yes, so we mentioned culture and education because US still hosts the most more international students than any other countries in the world. The second one is the UK, and the third is, I think, EU, but all of them combined together, US is again like leading. And the third one is digital, especially the Silicon Valley and the Google, Microsoft, and etc. These like the big tech companies that are leading the innovation in the world and that are actually leading the digital diplomacy, which is also now very, very important. And it can be also examined as a part of soft power. So I mentioned then diplomats and ambassadors, usually when they go to a certain country, they go and do research. And it's very challenging in the Arab region because not many research existed before. There is just a few now, I think, how Arab think and what's their public opinion. And again, it's like you have so many countries and it's hard to know exactly. But again, we can have like having here also some data, and I will show you. The most common fact is that Arabs tend to think negatively on US foreign policy in the region, and we're not surprised why. Yet the majority of them has positive view on the US as a country, its culture, political values, and education. These are some data. These are unfavorable views on US. And we have here 6 countries. So we can see the most negative view is on US policies towards Arabs, when 90% of people participating in this survey said like they have a negative image of it. So it's policies towards Arabs, policies towards Palestinians, and US policy on terrorism, because they saw it is quite aggressive. And it's also portraying negatively all people, all Muslims. So they don't differentiate between these extremes and between Muslim people that are just respecting and following their religion. In Egypt, in Saudi, and in Lebanon, people said that the biggest threat is coming first from Israel and then from the US. But there are also some favorable images of the US, and it's mostly about their technology and their science. So we mentioned the digital strategy and digital world. They're actually the main leaders in this field. On US products and on US movies and TV shows, US freedom and democracy, that's still debatable. So in Egypt, in Saudi, and in Lebanon, people said that they watched US and European movies like 3 to 7 times per week. And most of them are actually US produced movies. Again, I've told you, I think I mentioned this balance between political values, culture, and foreign policy. As in, you can see there is a huge discrepancy between domestic and foreign policy, because actions of the US authorities and their words, they are not aligned, and they lack the credibility. So the negative image, I would say, prevails over the positive one, because of the all negative foreign policy they've been having like in past 2 decades, let's say. I want to show you now also a video. I don't know, have you heard of these incidents? The Innocence of Muslims movie that actually caused the big riots all over the world in more than 20 countries. And this first sort of practice I want you to think about. So what were the reaction among Arab nations? What caused the riots, and who and why was held responsible? So when you have a country where they have a certain strategy, you can sometimes, especially in digital era.
Could you tell us a little bit about the movie, because I don't think we have come across it here. I haven't come across it.
Yeah, I will play you a video now when you would see what actually happened. I just want you to think about certain concepts when you watch this, because again, you have a strategy. You're a country, for example, an authority, and you have a strategy, and you know what you want to promote, and you know what are your decisions. But again, now you have this informational revolution and digital revolution, when everyone can see what's going on in your country. For example, when I, as a citizen, I can go and speak up or post something on YouTube, and everyone can see it. And then if this is something really provocative, they would judge you as a country, not me as a citizen of your country. So, and sometimes it's not your fault. It's not actually your responsibility, because you didn't finance, you didn't initiate this movie, for example, this move or certain action. But again, you would be held responsible, because now it's very hard to control the information. And
it's the idea of generalizing. You mean generalizing concepts or stereotypes on everyone?
Yes, generalizing, and also holding country responsible for the certain actions your citizens do. For example, if Justin Bieber goes and tells something on the TV, you would blame America because he's an American citizen, right? So this is actually what happened with the Innocence of Muslims movie. And yeah, let me show you the video. As you can see, this was the reaction. You had like riots in Egypt, you have in Libya, even everywhere in Australia, in the UK, in the US, also people protested against this. And what actually happened that in Libya, in Benghazi, the US consulate, the US ambassador was killed in this attack to the embassy that was caused by movie. So you can see how far this can go. Let me show you the video. Okay.
Okay.
Just a moment. Is this one?
In every country, there are those who find different religious beliefs threatening. In every culture, those who want freedom for themselves must ask themselves how much they're willing to tolerate freedom for others. That is what we saw play out in the last 2 weeks. It's a crude and disgusting video. It sparked outrage throughout the Muslim world. Now, I have made it clear the United States government had nothing to do with this video. I believe its message must be rejected by all who respect our common humanity. It's an insult not only to Muslims, but to America as well. For as the city outside these walls makes clear, we are a country that has welcomed people of every race and every faith. We are home to Muslims who worship across our country. We not only respect the freedom of religion, we have laws that protect individuals from being harmed because of how they look or what they believe. We understand why people take offense to this video because millions of our citizens are among them. I know there are some who ask, why don't we just ban such a video? The answer is enshrined in our laws. Our Constitution protects the right to practice free speech. Here in the United States, countless publications provoke offense. Like me, the majority of Americans are Christian, and yet we do not ban blasphemy against our most sacred beliefs. As president of our country and commander-in-chief of our military, I accept that people are going to call me awful things every day. And I will always defend their right to do so. Americans have fought and died around the globe to protect the right of all people to express their views, even views that we profoundly disagree with. We do not do so because we support hateful speech, but because our founders understood that without such protections, the capacity of each individual to express their own views and practice their own faith may be threatened. We do so because in a diverse society, efforts to restrict speech can quickly become a tool to silence critics and oppress minorities. We do so because, given the power of faith in our lives and the passion that religious differences can inflame, the strongest weapon against hateful speech is not repression, it is more speech. The voices of tolerance that rally against bigotry and blasphemy and lift up the values of understanding and mutual respect. I know that not all countries in this body share this particular understanding of the protection of free speech. We recognize that. But in 2012, at a time when anyone with a cell phone can spread offensive views around the world with a click of a button, the notion that we can control the flow of information is obsolete. The question then is, how do we respond? And on this, we must agree. There is no speech that justifies mindless violence. There are no words that excuse the killing of innocents. There's no video that justifies an attack on an embassy. There's no slander that provides an excuse for people to burn a restaurant in Lebanon or destroy a school in Tunis, cause death and destruction in Pakistan. this modern world with modern technologies, for us to respond in that way to hateful speech empowers any individual who engages in such speech to create chaos around the world. We empower the worst of us. That's how we respond.
So yeah, as you can see, it's a very challenging topic. Do you have any comments about this?
Actually, it's all understandable so far and expected, especially in this, but I didn't know a lot about this movie. Would you mind please giving me an insight on why this movie caused all of this trouble for anyone who's watching us as well? Starting by me, I have no clue about what this movie might had.
Yeah, you can. I think that the movie
just to check together what kind of stereotypes would lead to violence. That's very important and interesting to me. Just give us an insight, please, Nabina.
So yeah, you have some certain like I wrote you the basic things about the movie here. So The Innocence of Muslims is actually a movie produced by the Egyptian American producer, and his name is, I think that I'm pronouncing well, Nakula Basile. And practically he's Coptian. He's a part of the Coptian religious minority, and he's basically American citizen. So he produced a movie when he was using a Prophet Muhammad and posting some pictures of him and showing him in an appropriate way in a movie. So basically he was offending the most sacral parts of the Islam, and that's why people perceived it as American propaganda. That was actually an offense of the Arab world and especially of their religion, and it was produced and financed by American government, by their actual authorities. So that's why people from the Muslim world hold accountable Obama's administration for this. And again, you saw the violence in Egypt, in Libya, around the world, and what happened. So the schools were destroyed, the American ambassador was killed, and many other things that happened. And again, in this Obama speech, you can see that they cannot go because it wasn't their responsibility to go and to, for example, ban this movie, because again, you have something called free speech, and this is political value from their domestic political system. So sometimes, as you can see, you don't know what to do. And this is the dilemma. Should you ban this and go against your political values that you promote in order to keep people from abroad satisfied? Or what should you do? What your action should be, right? So you can go. I'm not quite sure that the movie is still on the YouTube, because this case went so far that Supreme Court banned it, and so it was withdrawn from the YouTube for a certain time. But again, later they changed their decision and they said, okay, Google wins the copyright and speech case over this video, and I think they might post it again back on the YouTube. So if you want, you can take a look and watch it. I didn't watch it myself, so if you're more interested, yeah, you can go and find about it later. Again, I've told you it's very hard to control the information in digital era. As you can see what happened with this Innocence of Muslim case. It's diverse information. You cannot control what your private citizens are posting on social media. For example, your government cannot tell you what to post on your Instagram profile, and you cannot be held accountable if you, for example, post something about, I don't know, for example, you don't like something what's going on in Spain, and you post it, and your government cannot be held accountable for that, right? Because it's your freedom of speech, and it's your opinion, not opinion of the Egyptian government. So this is something similar that happened with this movie too, right? So it's hard to control it. You have also private and non-governmental sector, and they have their own opinion, they have their own policies, so you cannot control their actions. Yeah, so, but I think that you have a lot of information, but you have a lack of attention. It's very hard to get to people and tell them what is the truth. And also you don't have their attention. So again, in this digital era, it's very hard to spread the message, even if you're having a good strategy. Any questions so far?
It's all very clear, Nivina.
Sarah?
Thank you. Yes, it's all very clear, Nivina. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Thank you.
So let's proceed then. Now I will be moving to another country, and
that's a very good example, actually, the UAE. I love that you use that, yes, as an example. Great.
It's very interesting.
I'm so eager to see what you have.
Yeah, we have US as a global power, and we all perceive it as one of the biggest power with the largest and the most impactful soft power in the world. But now we have certain small countries with the regional soft power, I can say that, and they are very highly ranked in this global soft power index. The UAE is 17th country in the world with the most powerful soft power. And it's very interesting. I will show you now why. But UAE, unlike America, has like a certain I would say tactics that are different. I've talked about the soft power and three resources, which are culture, political values, and foreign policy. And you're gonna see now at UAE example, they don't use this one. They have another ones they incorporated into their soft power strategy, and it's very interesting how they are promoting themselves. So yeah, I've told you it's on 17th place globally and one of 5 highly ranked non-Western countries. So now regarding the soft power, the question is, it's mostly soft power is related to the Western countries and to liberal democratic countries. So can actually non-liberal authoritarian country and regime can have a good soft power? You're wondering what's good about it and how that can be widespread and accepted. So again, there are 5 countries highly ranked, and we can see now why they are so good in developing good soft power strategy. There is a good article, and you can read it later. It's written by Nisbet. I think it's from the King's College London. And she's asking, can actually the soft power be both? And she's examining the case of the UAE. It's very interesting. And if you want to have like better insights, you can go and read it. So in UAE case, the soft power is used as a synonym for the nation branding, for tourism and trade, basically. So these are the main 3 things they use to promote themselves. UAE goes
actually nation branding.
Yes,
is one of the very, very important and trendy topics nowadays. It's like a competition between nations who are growing really fast.
Yeah, you know, when you, for example, listen a song at YouTube and you have like a Qatar Airways, and then you have like the presentation of the whole Qatar as a country. So this is example of nation branding. And when you see these beautiful images in between your songs, you wish you go to Qatar and visit them, right? Because they spread a message very like effectively. So nation branding really becomes a big thing and a big issue. And countries are making such big and they're putting so much money into making a good strategy for nation brand and for the case, because they actually have an institution called Soft Power Council, established in 2007. The strategy that was launched by Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, and the general aim was to increase global, not the regional, but the global reputation of the UAE as a country. So it has 4 main objectives: to develop the humanities, tourism, media, and science sector. And talking about humanities, the UAE is the world's one of the world's largest foreign aid giver, and this is a humanitarian sector. When you actually have countries in your region or in global, and you invest in different sectors. I know that they've been giving in the last decade a lot of their humanitarian aid to Egypt, and then later I think now it's they changed something. I think it's Jordan and Qatar as a priority, but again, they're investing a lot into this area as well. The second objective is to establish the UAE as a regional capital for culture, art, and tourism, to position the country as a gateway to the region, and to establish its reputation as a modern and tolerant country. And it has 6 main pillars. It's economy and economic diplomacy, it's cultural and media diplomacy, humanitarian, I already mentioned that, scientific and academic, national representatives diplomacy, and people diplomacy. And you see they define these main pillars as tools how you can promote the soft power, and they are doing that really well. I will show you some examples now here. So regarding their economy, we know that they are this is the rich country, and their economy, like just Abu Dhabi, a small town, holds 7% of the world's oil resources. And although these oil resources are 30% of the UAE GDP, the other 33% is coming for foreign direct investments. And we know from the previous workshop what are foreign direct investments and how important they are for boosting your economy. So they have diversified their economic strategy, and as I told you, it rests upon tax-free income, FDIs, tourism, science, and education. And again, their economic power is some sort of like prerequisite for the soft power, because this is what enables them to become popular abroad, right? And to spread their image and brand as a nation. So there are some examples, and I would show you. It's very interesting how much money they have and what I actually do with that money. They started recently investing in art, in multiculturalism, and in tolerance. And when I talk about art and culture, they actually have like a Louvre in Abu Dhabi. It's called Louvre Abu Dhabi, and they had paid a lot of money, billions of US dollars, to the Louvre in Paris, just to have certain like artistic things exposed there, and to use the name of Louvre. Again, they have a Guggenheim in Abu Dhabi.
Like to make another version of the French Louvre in the UAE, right?
Yeah, they made it actually Abu Dhabi versions of Louvre.
Great.
And they have like this famous Zayed National Museum. They have New York University, Sorbonne, Abu Dhabi, and the Hindu temple, the first Hindu temple, and the largest one in the region that they are now building, because they have like many people living there with which religion is Hindu. And it's interesting that all these projects attract that much tourists that year when they opened, that actually the number was higher than tourists. It's very interesting. UAE also invest a lot in like tolerance field. You had like in 2019, I think, that the Pope was visiting UAE, and that was the first official visit in the Middle East. And they have also a ministry of tolerance, which is very interesting to see. And if someone wants to research about it, they also had in 2019 year of tolerance, and that was when the Pope was actually visiting them. And all of these things, the summit, the ministry, and this year of tolerance was actually a strategy, a cohesion strategy that UAE developed because they have a lot of people from abroad. Only 10% of their population are actually people from the UAE. All the others are foreigners. So they need to develop a certain cohesion strategy so they don't have riots like you have in Arab Spring, and your country doesn't become so shaken from the inside. So that's why also they are doing this. But again, I wanted you to do that as a practice. I don't have that much time to speak about it, but take a look on the Amnesty International, on the UN and Human Rights Report, and you can see that actually there is not so much tolerance and not so much freedom of speech, not so much like democratic and liberal values in the UAE, right? You cannot tell whatever you want. You cannot speak, you cannot criticize the government, you cannot criticize the authorities because you can end up in jail. And you have many cases. You also have like this famous case, I don't know if you read about that, when the British girl was arrested. I think that she was actually posting something about her husband and her ex-husband and his wife, and he was offending them. And she was in the Dubai airport in that moment. So she was arrested because and accused that she was actually spreading the hate speech, and that wasn't accepted in that country. So she was arrested and she spent some time in jail because of that. So imagine how you end up when you criticize politicians and authorities there. And yeah, you can. But again, like the Western countries, they stay silent because the largest investment in the New York, in London, in the big metropolis are coming from these countries, and especially from UAE. And this is sort of economic coercion, or some, like we can say, this is like these countries are commercially integrated. So sometimes all these human rights issues can, like just be, they can just put them under the carpet. So yeah, let me see. This is the Louvre, Abu Dhabi. So you can see how beautiful it looks. I think this is Guggenheim, and this is Zayed National Museum. Regarding the tourism and innovation in UAE, we know that Dubai, like, it's branded as the global capital for luxury, and it has only 3 million people living there. The visitors, or actually the tourists, the number is 60 million per year. And they actually invested a lot in architecture, in innovation. So you have the biggest indoor aquarium, you have the tallest building in the world, the longest self-driving metro. They recently introduced the self-driving flying taxi, which is very interesting to see. The biggest indoor sky park, and etc., like the largest observation wheel, and etc. And Dubai was ranked in 2019 as the fourth most visited city in the world by the Global Destination City Index. So you can see how popular actually it is. And all of these that I mentioned, these are the things that gives not only brand the UAE as a country, but it also gives them like political legitimacy. And especially in the Middle East, that is always perceived like an unsecure and unsafe region, you have such a country that is so popular that is becoming really like one of the best destination in the world, and one of the most like attractive place to visit. And that's what gives them political legitimacy. So that's why they invest so much in soft power and in the nation branding. And this is the self-driving taxi. So if you go and visit Dubai, and you can try it. Okay, now I would like you to do some exercise, and we're gonna move and play a game on Kahoot. But first, I want to give you a question, and this is the observation wheel. And I think this is going to be open in October. It still doesn't work, so they're gonna have like official opening in October. Okay, you can go now. I'm gonna share a link with you. So you can go and read this article, and we would have like a sort of 10 minutes break, and then we can play a game on Kahoot. I would be asking questions. So these are the main questions I would be asking on the Kahoot. So please read this article. I have 10 minutes, and then I have some questions from here for you.
Okay. Sylvia, start reading the article, please.
Okay.
Would you please share the screen with us on the article, please, Navina?
Yeah.
Because we cannot copy paste the link, so.
Yes, I'm gonna send you now in a chat. Just a moment.
Okay, or maybe you can share it on the screen for everyone who's viewing us as well to take a glimpse on the article. If you open it and then share the screen with us, that would be as well really nice.
You mean the whole article?
Yeah, how many pages is it?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's 20 pages.
Ooh,
but you can just you can just go. I mean, focus on these questions that I've asked you. Okay, you don't have to read the whole article. Just somehow try to find an answer for these questions.
Okay, would you please share the screen with on the questions again?
Yeah, give me just a moment.
Okay.
I've sent you in a chat the article.
Yeah, we do have the article now.
Okay.
We will also be adding it to the report.
Okay.
Am I allowed to answer these questions, or that's not for me?
These are, yeah, you're gonna play, Sarah. I want you to play.
Okay, you know I love the games.
Yeah, I know that you would like them. So you have.
I'm very competitive.
If you want to play. Yeah, I'll send you a link.
Sylvia, are you going to compete with me today, or you don't want to compete? Sylvia won over me last time, so I think she will be competing. Are you competing?
I'm reading the article. Wait.
Okay, me too. Okay, last time I was winning and I just let them win for a change. For everyone who's watching us, I'll be sharing the article on the comments, on the live comments on YouTube. So everyone can read and share as well. That's the practice for this workshop. The article is on the live comments on YouTube where we're live.
Yeah, so if there are any questions, so feel free to ask.
I would like to answer that questions of what methods they use.
That's gonna be in a game, so you would have an opportunity.
Okay. You see how competitive I am? I can't wait.
See. I see.
Okay, I'll have to wait.
We're gonna wait for Sylvia and Riri. Is she playing?
Yes, she's playing as well.
Okay. Let me know when you finish the article, so we can start. You all have already Kahoot application, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So it's not gonna take our time.
Okay. Where is the game pin?
Are we starting?
Wait, I didn't finish. Wait.
Okay, Sylvia. Okay, wait.
Sarah, please.
Sylvia's like, wait. Just focus on the answers of the questions, Sylvia. It's a skill. It's called horizon scanning reading. Where
Yeah,
you
doctor,
only focus on
that.
the answers.
Yes, doctor, I'm doing that.
Okay, great.
Okay, since we're going live and there are people asking us to join on Kahoot game, asking me directly. So you guys, you might be
Yes,
having
let everyone join. Yes, it's nice. Let everyone join.
You might lose the game if you have like more competitors.
No problem. I like the competition. I'm competitive. Okay. I just enjoy the competition, even if I lose.
Okay, so we're gonna be having some people. I'll share now with them a link, great, and they can join us. But I have to read the article first. So guys, whoever is joining, I have to read the article first.
Horizon scanning, guys. Just focus on the questions. The answers are there within the 21 pages of the article. Let's start and pick up the answers from the article as we are answering.
Okay, let me now just share a pin and then I'll share a screen with you. Let's see.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna send you the link now of the game. Okay, here is the link and I'll give you a pin now.
Okay, so we're waiting for the pin of the game.
Okay, do you see my screen? No, not yet. Okay,
Not
Wait,
yet.
guys, it's starting now, okay? Let me just give you access.
Okay.
Wait, I didn't enter the pin.
No problem. You can pick the answers from the
Where is the
article
pin?
as we're playing, and that's how the game will be more
Where is
fun.
the pin? I can't see the pin.
Yeah, here's the pin. Do you see it now?
Ah, okay.
Is that the pin? Okay.
3, 2.
Let me share it on here as well.
Okay, so you know how it functions. Basically, the questions would be here on my screen. So if you want to read the question, you have to read it from your PC, or I don't know where you are sending, and you will be having answers. Actually, like, okay, Sylvia is here. Potential answers and options on your app, on your phones. So the questions, I'm gonna show them here.
Okay, I'm entering as well.
Okay, I didn't see you yet. Okay, Sarah is here.
Okay, I'm in, I guess.
Okay, and we're waiting for Riri.
She won't be joining us. Let the people who wanted to join the game to join us as well.
Okay, I'm sending them the link now.
Yay, game competition. So we see the questions on your screen, and then we pick our answers on.
Yeah, so we have Sylvia, Sarah, and Voxpol guy. Okay, someone mysterious here. Okay, let's see.
Hi, Vauxhall. Okay, anyone else wants to join? Anyone from your end, Nina, who would like to join?
Let me see if there is anyone else. Okay, I think that's it. So, ready to start? Okay, let's start. We are waiting for one more person. She's just trying to install the app. So let's give her a few minutes.
Fine.
Yeah. Sylvia, I didn't ask you, do you have any questions or anything you would like to ask me?
No. The workshop was amazing, actually. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
For everyone who's watching us, we have a package of more specialized workshops till the end of September. And we have an offer where you get 3 free workshops for $100 only. The whole program was a sum of 4 workshops, 2 roundtables, 2 book club sessions for €250. Also a competitive price.
So again, let me just go back to this case study and to this game. because the Hezbollah is interesting. It's non-state actor, and usually the soft power is always related to states, right? Now,
Yes.
because we have certain changes, and we talked in previous workshop about the actors in the international affairs. So aside states,
Like
we also have
multinational companies, enterprises.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We have companies, we have international organizations, but we also have non-governmental organizations. They are sometimes recognized, but like Hezbollah or ISIS, sometimes they are not recognized by the other actors in the international system. But again, you can see in this article and throughout this game that also they can have like very, very well-developed soft power, and they can be very influential as well. Okay, so are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. So the first question, let's start soft power in the Arab world. Okay, so the first question.
I'm playing.
Okay, you just have to.
My internet is a bit slow. My internet is a bit slow, so please bear with me for a second.
Okay. Okay, we just had 2 answers.
Correct, yay!
Okay, let's go to the next question.
Okay.
Okay.
No, Sylvia, no, you're not winning. No. I'll be winning this time. Okay.
So the next question, smart power is combination of the soft power and the hard power. Okay.
Okay, I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
Okay. Sylvia is leading.
No, Sylvia, no, I'll be leading this time.
Yeah, and Sarah, you are on the 3rd place. The Vauxhall guy.
No, I just mixed up. Okay, I'm going to win next time.
They're very competitive people here, you see. Okay, 3rd question.
Yay, correct. Great.
Okay,
Sylvia, you're
leading.
on fire.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next question.
Woohoo. Okay.
Okay, excellent. You're good, all of you. Okay.
Sylvia still on fire.
Yeah. she read the article, so you can see.
She did. That's why she was asking for more time.
Yeah. 5th question.
Yay.
Okay, great. Great. Let's go to the next one.
Okay. Woohoo.
Right. Okay, Sylvia is still leading, and
Nana.
No, you're going down. You're going down, Sylvia. Next one, you will get it wrong and I'll get it right.
I guessed this one.
No,
Oh my god, I guessed it, and it's true.
I got it wrong.
Okay.
It's just that I know that Hezbollah has very powerful TV channels, so I only chose TV. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, but I have something other. Actually, it's range. Okay, I'm not gonna reveal to you. And this is the next question. Let's go.
Please reveal. Okay. Wow, correct. Okay, this one was obvious.
Yes.
I give this one to. I keep giving. I give it to
One
Sylvia.
second. Sylvia, you're on fire.
She's killing it.
Yes.
Okay, you all
Yay.
got the right answer. Okay, this one wasn't that hard. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
And I think this is the last question. So let's see who's going to be the winner.
Wow, correct. I was just guessing this one.
And we have a winner. And
I
that's
come
Sylvia.
second. Okay,
You're
no
in
problem.
second place, and the Vauxhall
No
guy, he
problem.
loses.
I will let my scholars learn more than I do. No problem, no problem. I will let my scholars take the lead. No problem. Sylvia, حسابك معايا بعدين. Okay, that was fun. That was so
Yeah,
much
it was
fun.
interesting. Okay, now I can speak about it a bit, and I just want to say, as you can see, they have very well developed strategy, and they are having like a huge IT investment, I would say, because they have games, and you saw towards the victory. So yeah, they have
That's
these
actually
three.
new info to me.
Yeah,
That's
they have
actually new
games,
info.
and that's how they spread their messages. So in this game, you can actually having like an empire that is fighting against Israel. For example, that's how they are saying what's their main aim and what's their purpose. They also have different kind of organizations. They have charities, they have hospitals, they have schools in Lebanon that help people that are in need, for example. So as you can see, there are a variety of tools they use. And
actually,
again, the
that's
answer
how Muslim Brotherhood spread their actions in Egypt as well, using charity organizations. Yeah.
It's always because their main purpose is fighting against underprivileged people, fighting against injustice. So I guess that's their main, I would say, ground. And it's radical, you can see, but again, it's widely accepted, and many people, they reach many people, because the thing here is they're trying to reach people through religion and through faith. So you're actually targeting a person and the belief of person, and once you target them, they are very, how I would say, loyal to you. So that's why they would do whatever you want.
Especially religions,
even the non-political. Yeah, go for it.
And doctrines in places like Lebanon, where there are a lot of doctrines in one religion, like Shia Muslims and Sunni Muslims. So it becomes a part of the identity. So they are playing on the beliefs that form the identity of the people, especially in this area of the world. Please proceed, Nabina.
Yeah, exactly. And as you can see, the non-political actor, it can also have like a strong soft power. So I think that will be it. We covered everything from this presentation. Again, we can do another workshop if you're interested, for example, in other powers in the region, for example, in China. And it's also interesting to see how Iranian soft power is used in the region, Saudi Arabia.
And yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you, that the soft power of Hezbollah in Lebanon, it's Iran. Actually, so it's very important. Yeah.
And also it's interesting to see how the sport is becoming an area when all these countries are fighting for the nation branding and for the soft power as well. So we can do other workshops if you're interested. Just let us know, and yeah, we can continue researching on this topic.
Exactly.
So that would be it. Thank you so much for listening me. And yeah, go.
I'm sorry, my network is really bad. Thank you so much, Nivina. And I wanted just to add that we can also design a workshop for whoever is interested about examples of nation branding. And we have a great example on that, which is Marca España. Spain has held a nation branding campaign that lasted for the past decade, which is called Marca España. And it's one of the most successful nation branding campaigns held by a state. So we can organize workshops, more specialized workshops delivered by our most distinguished scholars like Nivina Arsik here, and more games to come, and more practices on our specialized international relations related topics. Thank you so much, Nivina, for your time today, and for the game, and for all the precious information.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Thank you, Nivina, and everyone who's watching us, please have a great day.